guys, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Nicole and I make bookish content. Today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in the month of February. I did manage to read 7 books and honestly I'm really happy with my progress because they were all pretty hefty books in my opinion, and I read a lot of 5-star reads, which is really all I can ask for. I can assure you that most of the books that I read this month are going to stick with me for a very long time. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first book that I read in the month of February is Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas, and this is what it looks like. It's so beautiful without the cover. I think the cover is stunning as well, but I like to read books without the sleeve, if that's weird, I don't know. This revolves around Yadriel, a 16-year-old trans guy who wants to prove to his family that he is a brujo. One day his cousin is murdered and he decides to contact his cousin's ghost to figure out what happened. However, he ends up summoning the resident bad boy, Julian, and in order for Julian to agree to let Yadriel set him free, Yadriel must help him figure out who murdered him. But the more they find out, the less Yadriel might want Julian to leave, hence possible romance. 5-star rating for this book. I loved it so much. I was crying, I was laughing, I was so happy with the ending, so captivated with the pure wholesome love interest in the book, and I really loved Julian as a character. I loved how free-spirited and happy-go-lucky he was. I don't know, I just loved all the mystery and magic that was incorporated into this book. If you guys like romance or paranormal fiction, I would definitely recommend checking this out. The second book that I read in the month of February was The End by Lemony Snicket. You guys have been watching my videos for a while now. You guys would know how many months it's taken me to get through this 13-book series. I'm gonna blame a big portion of that with the fact that I was renting the books from the library and they would have me return certain books on certain days and then I'd have to wait a amount of time to get it back, but I finally finished, which is an accomplishment in itself. Honestly, after all those hours spent reading the series, after all that build up, I did have to give this book a 3-star rating. Not to say I was unhappy with the ending, but if you guys know anything about me, you know that I don't really like super ambiguous endings, and I felt like I invested so much time in the storyline and characters that I wanted a more put together ending. I didn't want it to be so open-ended. It wasn't a bad ending by any means, but I just felt like it was the ending for me. I just felt like the series ending was a bit anticlimactic. And I did like a lot of the new characters and events that were kind of going on in the last book, but I don't know, I just feel like certain questions that were posed throughout the entire book were never even answered. And I did hear that some of these questions get answered in the Netflix show, so I'm really hoping to get some closure there. It was a little bit disappointing for me. I was wanting a little bit more. So the third book that I read in the month of February was 29 Seconds by Tm Logan. I bought it on Book Outlet and was really excited to be reading this with my best friend from home. This is about Sarah, who was a young professor working at a prestigious university, and there's a man named Hawthorne who is basically the university's shining renowned scholar, aka host to this really popular TV show. He's gotten the school tons of grants and he's basically untouchable, but he's also notorious for basically taking advantage of his female co-workers and sexually coercing or blackmailing them. So she's trying to kind of balance that and resist his advances. At the same time, she doesn't want to quit her job or get fired, and she's basically backed up into a corner when she witnesses a kid being kidnapped. She intervenes, and later she is revisited by the kid's father, who offers to make anybody disappear. All she has to do is have a 29-second phone call and the person of her choice will be gone forever. I rated this book 2 stars. First of all, I just felt like it was so unrealistic at times. The writing wasn't amazing. It just felt super bland, and for all the crazy events that were going on, I was expecting to be a little bit more hooked, but it just was not very captivating. The language wasn't very lush or rich or engaging, and I definitely felt myself struggling at times. Like the outcome of the book, I was just like, okay, come on, are you for real? This just would not happen. I just wouldn't recommend it. I would not say that I'm a harsh critic when it comes to books, but when I don't like a book, I really don't like a book, and I stuck through it, and overall, I just would not pick this up ever again. I'm definitely going to be selling this. So yeah, The next book that I read in the month of February is Roon and Rising, the last book in the Shadow and Bone trilogy. Oh my gosh, guys, it was so good. Can you see all my emotions? I felt so impacted by all the characters and storyline, and I definitely haven't felt this invested in a story since Twilight, so I would say this is a pretty good series and probably one of my top books of all time. It was a lot of emotions. In my opinion, I think the writing is beautiful. I think that the writing is detailed enough for me to be able to picture the world as it is. And when I saw the Shadow and Bone trailer, I was so excited because I felt like all the descriptions were just so accurate to how it was portrayed. So I'm really excited to be watching it because 5-star series, guys. It's definitely 100% worth the hype in my opinion. The next book that I read in the month of February is The Poet by Elizabeth Acevedo. This past month, I was just like, you know what? I've heard so many great things about it and I want to read it. I think I was a little bit nervous because I've never read a story told in prose and I wasn't sure if I was going to love that sense of storytelling, but I was so blown away. So this book is about Xiomara, and she has a very conservative religious mother. She feels a lot of religious pressure to conform to what her mother expects of her, but she is curious about normal teenage stuff, and she basically explores all these things through her poetry, where she's a super talented writer, and eventually she's invited to join the Slam Poetry Club, and possibly her poetry will find its way outwards into the world. This book was a 5-star read for me. It was just beautifully written, and I got so invested in Xiomara's story that I couldn't put it down physically, and I finished it in one sitting. There were so many poems that she wrote that were just so relatable to either things that I've experienced or things that I've like felt. It was very moving. I immediately told my boyfriend the whole summary because I was just so inspired, and I literally read him like half the book pretty much because I wanted him to hear the poetry and the rich vocabulary that was used. I would definitely recommend checking this out, especially if you guys haven't read any books that have prose in them, because this was definitely a game changer for me, and I am so excited to be reading Clap When You Land now because I love her writing and I love prose now. So the next book that I read in the month of February is Lore by Alexandra Bracken, and if you guys can't tell all the emotions that I was feeling, I really wasn't sure if I was going to like this book. This book basically revolves around a world where 9 of the Greek gods are punished because they had a failed revolt, and so I think for 7 days every 7 years they are condemned to walk the earth as mortals, and descendants of all the great Greek heroes are able to hunt down these gods and become immortal themselves, and so it's a constant bloodbath, and it's super interesting, and I would say that this is one of the best standalones that I've read. I felt like it was so well put together, and I think that every single plot detail was explained or elaborated on very thoroughly. I loved the world building. I loved all the character development. I also really loved the Asian representation, and I liked how like Miles wasn't just a typical stereotype. I also really liked the main character, and even though like at times she was very difficult to feel empathy for, over time you understand like why she is the way that she is, and she really does go through tremendous transformation. I really can't rave about this book enough. I actually buddy read this with M from Bookish Potatoes as well as Catherine Sophia, and we all really liked the book. Super swoon-worthy character in the book, let me just tell you. Like, I did not know I could be feeling such intense emotions for a fictional character, but yeah, I really don't have anything else to say about it. It's so good, and I think that if you guys like Greek mythology retellings, this is definitely a high fantasy you don't want to miss. The last book that I read in the month of February is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. Honestly, this is another 5-star read for me, and it's a contemporary about this girl who's known as the elusive marsh girl, and when this guy is found murdered in the marsh, everyone suspects her, and so it goes back and forth between the sheriffs trying to figure out who killed this man and her growing up and falling in love, figuring out how to live on her own because she had a really harsh family life, and I honestly don't have enough words in my heart to express how wonderful of a book this is, but I think that if you like any type of like contemporary books like Little Fires Everywhere, I would highly recommend checking out this book because it was honestly so touching and it just made me think about it for days afterwards, and it was just so beautifully written. I loved the character development, I loved the ending of the book, and I really liked the setting and the mystery behind it because it somehow was a contemporary, lush romance at times, growing of age, but at the same time there was this kind of thrilling aspect where you didn't really know who the killer was. I would recommend reading this book for sure. It definitely has gotten so much hype and I think it's completely deserved. Do yourself a favor and check this book out. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I would love to know in the comments down below if you guys did read any of these books in February, and if so, what were your thoughts? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!